What's up guys, it's Tyler from the Aquatic Journal. Today we're going to talk about breeding guppies. Guppies are probably one of the easiest fish that there are to breed, really. This video is going to explain how I do it and 6 tips for you to be successful, so stay tuned. If you haven't already guys, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to bring as much informational content as I can to you guys. That's kind of what I want to put on YouTube, so if you think you'll enjoy that, please hit the subscription button below. Guppies, like many live bears, prefer water on the harder side. I keep them right around 78 degrees, which seems to be ideal. If all your water parameters are good, then you should get fry from your females. So here are 6 tips to help you be successful. So tip number 1 is going to be to keep more females than males. I like to keep at least 2 females for every male. Some people would say 3 females to every male. It just seems excessive at that point, but the more females, honestly, the better you're gonna have. The males obviously look a lot better, which makes more people want to pick up males only, but the more females you have, the better. The females are pretty easily identified as they're gonna have a black spot closer to the end of their belly, where the males are gonna be a lot more narrow and not have that black spot at all. You'll know the females are kind of ready to drop fry when they get all boxy, which you can see here. They pretty much will just get nice and boxy, and then they'll lay all that fry, and that black spot will get a lot smaller after they drop all that fry, and then obviously that'll happen again. They tend to give birth like every 30 days, like almost on the dot, so every month you can kind of expect them to be giving birth. Tip 2 is to keep them in a tank with a lot of cover. This, I mean plants for the most part. In one tank I used a lot of wood, which seems to help as well, but you could also use fake decorations, fake plants, all that kind of stuff. In one of my tanks I keep it with a lot of hair algae that's just growing, and I leave it because it gives them so much cover that I think I get more and more fry out of that tank than any other one. The best tank I ever had was one that was dirted, and the dirt actually came to the surface, so the water got super murky. And when I scooped out all the fry, there was over 80 or 90 babies in it. So the more cover they have, the easier it is for them to survive. The adults will want to eat the babies, so the more cover you have, the better chance the babies have of surviving. Tip number 3 is don't keep them with other fish. This isn't 100% true, as I keep mine with cories and plecos as well, but most of the other fish are going to eat them. My angelfish would definitely eat them. Danios would definitely eat them. The barbs would definitely eat them. A lot of fish will eat the fry as soon as they're dropped because the fry are not very fast and they will not get away. So for the most part, I just say keep them by themselves if you can. Cories and plecos, that kind of surface or bottom dwellers, are going to be fine, but a lot of the other fish are going to eat them. So if you want to be successful, I'd keep guppies only in the tank. Tip number 4 is to feed heavily. The reason I say feed heavily is because I do not pull the females out of the tank. The 3 kind of ways that people tend to breed them is 1, they'll either pull the fry out once the female drops. 2, they'll put the female in a breeder box. I let her drop the fry and the fry will swim out. Or 3, you just leave them as is. I think the first 2 are rather stressful, and it's really hard to catch the fry as well. And putting a female in a breeder box is super stressful for her, and it's already hard enough for them. A lot of times the female will die giving birth just in normal, so the less stress you can put on them, the better, to be honest. So I just leave them in the tank as is, and all I do is feed super heavy. If the adults are happy and full, they're not going to go chasing after the babies from what I've seen. So if you have a lot of cover and you feed well, they won't eat the babies, so that's why I say feed heavily. Tip 5 is pretty simple. I just say use a sponge filter. In terms of all the options for filtration, the sponge filter is kind of your best option. If you use a hang-on back filter, there's a good chance your fry will get sucked in that intake. Same with the canister filter, it's easy for them to get sucked in, versus sponge filter is the safest way to keep them, and the most of your fry will survive that way. Tip 6 is the most controversial of them all. It's the one I probably like the least, and it's the fact that you have to cull your fish. By this I mean if you have some that have defects or genes that you don't want, you're going to need to pull them out of the tank. So I have some. Bent backs is the most common one that I see of all the fish from wherever I get them from. I'll always end up with fry with bent backs, which you can see here, but you have to pull them out. So for some people this means that you essentially kill them off. Some people will feed them to other fish. For me, I just move them to my 90-gallon tank and I let them live their life there. If they continue to live, awesome. Like this one has clearly made it a while. Some of them just don't make it in general, which is what they would do in the other tank already. but it's best to get those genetics out of your tank so that you can continue to produce good, healthy fry. Those are my 6 tips for breeding guppies. I hope this is helpful to you guys. Guppies honestly aren't that hard to breed, so a lot of people are like, you probably don't need this video, but if you follow these tips, you'll be successful. I started with maybe 9 guppies, and I have in the hundreds now. As you've seen from my video, there's a lot of fry in both of those 2 tanks that I showed you, and there's a lot of them that have been moved to the 90 because I didn't want them in the other tank, so I don't even know how many I have, but it's a lot. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Comment below what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.